Hey guys, this is Jochen, welcome to my channel. Maybe you've heard about a method for fast focusing, for example for street photography. It's called zone focusing. Today I want to show you how to set it up and use it with your beautiful Fujifilm X100V. Here we go. Well, I already made a video about zone focusing with Fuji-X cameras and lenses, and also with old adapted manual lenses in the past. Have a look. But with the X100V there is some more to keep in mind and to set up, so today a special video about that. For the ones of you who've never heard of it, zone focusing is a method of setting up camera and lens in a way that a specific zone is always in focus. This can be, for example, a range of 1.5 to 5 meters. This gives you the advantage that an object that is within this zone will be always in focus when you press the release button. So you don't have to change the focus all the time. Instead, you may use your feet or move the camera additionally so that the object is inside of this zone. This can be a huge advantage for street photography or any other occasion you want to quickly catch a scene. This is something for rather smaller apertures like 5.6 or 8, because when shooting wide open the zone will be shallower and the object will be harder to get into. So this method takes a little practice, but if you can handle it, it's really great. But first we will have to prepare the Fujifilm X100V for using the zone focus. First of all, you set the focus mode to M, like manual, using the slide button on the side here. Next we want to turn on the zone focus indicator. To do this, go in the menu to Setup, Screen Setting, Display Custom Setting, EVF LCD, and make sure that the MF distance indicator is checked. Like last time, an important note: the display of this scale does not work at all if you have the large indicators mode turned on with the LCD or EVF. Go and disable this in Setup, Screen Setup on page 3. I had this problem on a different camera, I think it was the X-T3 that is filming me right now, and I could not find the error for ages. But if you have done everything correctly, you will now see the new scale at the bottom of your screen. Now we will check whether meter is given as the unit of measure. If not, we look again in Setup, Screen Setup, and then on page 2 in the focus scale unit setting and change it to M, unless you want to go with feet. For me as a continental European it is of course still not acceptable. The next setting is something that wasn't there when I did my first video about the zone focusing, but without setting it up the whole thing won't work well. Go into the menu for the AF/MF settings, and on page 2 you will find an entry Depth of Field Scale. Make sure it is set to film format instead of pixel. The difference between the two: the pixel value is used for images that you want to view magnified on very high resolution screens. The depth of field is much shallower here than with prints, where you want to use the film format value for. My opinion, if it's sharp enough for print, it's sharp enough for screens also. And without setting this value to film format, the scale in my opinion is not usable because the focus zone is displayed really tiny. So how do we work with this scale now? First, set the aperture on the X100V's 23mm lens to the smallest aperture, f2 for testing. The blue bar here is quite tiny. If you now change the aperture to f8, you will see that the blue area on the scale changes and grows. And if you now turn the focus ring back and forth, you can see how the blue area shifts and changes. You guessed right, the blue area shows the focus zone in meters in which my image will be sharp. With the aperture 8 I can now easily set up that everything will be sharp in a range of 2 and a something meters to infinity. I can now just leave everything like that and start taking pictures. I only have to get my object in the range of at least 2.5 meters. Of course, there has to be sufficient light to shoot with aperture 8. I have the usual possibilities to take care of that, maybe with the ISO auto settings, because our beautiful X100V can handle higher ISO values very well. Another option, of course, would be slower shutter speeds, but that only makes sense if you want to capture motion blur or your object is not moving at all. Otherwise, I just choose a larger aperture and have to make sure that my object is in the, of course, smaller blue zone of my scale. The larger the aperture, the harder that will be to achieve. But in general, the advantages of this method are obvious. Even if the autofocus of the X100V is quite fast, you're faster not waiting for it, and there is no chance missing it if you take care of the blue zone. What you may not know as a beginner, when you are in focus mode M, you have an additional option to adjust the focus instead of using the focus ring on the lens. You can set up the so-called back button focus. To do this, hold down the display button for 2 seconds to quickly access the button customization menu. Select the AEL AFL button and assign it to the AF on function if this isn't already done. I'm really not sure what the default value is here, but I guess it's exposure and focus lock. In any case, you can focus with this button now without using the lens ring, even in manual focus mode. This means that even with zone focusing, you have a quick option to change the focus half automatically. So if you're not sure if your subject is in the zone and you have enough time, you can try to get it done with that one. Well, you should keep in mind that there are additional helpful technologies inside the X100V to see if your object is in focus. For example, the focus peaking. I turned mine on and to red and high to see if an object is within my zone focus zone. And now go out and try to make some great catches with your X100V and this new learned method. If you have any questions about the zone focusing or having trouble setting it up, feel free to write me in the comments. I usually answer within a few hours. I am also interested in your experiences using it. Please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Switch on the notifications so that you don't miss any more videos. Well, that's it for today. Take care of yourself, have a good time. Ciao.